Welcome back to another episode of the Healthy with Heartland podcast. My name's Justin. I'm your host, also with your favorite creative directors and co-hosts, Simon and Shannon. How are you feeling back on the East Coast?
How's it going? Doing good. A little tired, a little sleepy, but doing good. We're here. We're ready to rock.
That's right.
Yeah. So
glad to be back.
Your first podcast as a married couple. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very true. Very true. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. You can drop a bomb on that.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about smoker stuff.
Yep.
All kinds of great info. Origin of smoking, different types of woods, different types of smokers. It's going to be a great episode. But before we get into that, let's send it over for some announcements.
All right. Welcome back, Heartland family. Just a couple quick announcements for you. A couple more days left in August, so make sure you get your reorder scheduled so you can get a Murray's Family Farms whole chicken absolutely free with your order. So many things you can do with that, so make sure to do that over the next few days. We'll have another awesome special coming in September. If you have not had a chance to schedule your own pop-up, make sure you do so. We have a link to that in the description. As well, if you're a member of the Heartland Foodies group, I'm sure you are aware that we are doing a 5K member giveaway. So we are still inviting our friends. Make sure that you post a comment in that post that's tagged to the top and let us know that you've invited your 5 friends for a chance to win $2,000 of Heartland Farm Source products. So that's pretty awesome.
$2,000.
I know that Justin covered it before, but we are going to have a Welcome Heartland Celebration at the beginning of September. We're all very, very excited about it. So get it on your calendar, September 12th from 12 to 5 p.m. It's going to be here in Frederick at our corporate headquarters. Just a couple of quick tips. If you are a barbecue fan, if you like to cook, all our Heartland Foodies out there, we are calling you up. So fill out the form that's posted in the comments. Simon's going to go ahead and post that in there for you. Fill it out for a chance to enter the contest. We'll select a few contestants, and they will present us their barbecue recipes for a chance to win $500 or 1 free month of food with their order. So definitely join the Heartland Welcome Celebration. It's going to be tons of fun, and make sure to sign up for the barbecue brawl. And with that, let's get into the podcast.
Yeah. So smoker stuff. I think you've got some interesting history and origins to start with.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So we were just kind of wondering, we were pondering the question, Simon and I, back and forth. Why do people smoke meats, right? Like, why is that a popular thing to do? People enjoy doing it. It's a fun thing to do. And of course, the result is a delicious product. So we looked it up, and what it said is that it dates all the way back to the Paleolithic era. Smoking meats is when, of course, we discovered fire for the first time, and they began to use it as a technique to cook their food. It was also used as a way to preserve foods because, of course, they didn't have refrigeration and things like that. So salt, among other things, like smoking, will add flavor, improve the appearance of the meat through the Maillard reaction, which we'll get into a little bit about.
Science. And
when combined with curing, it will preserve the meat. So that's kind of the history as far as, smoking, and it goes way back.
Yep. And you may be thinking, why were you thinking about this? Well, we were actually in Hawaii, and in Hawaii, they do the Kalua pig, which they do in an imu.
Yeah.
Right? Which is one of those ovens that are basically in the ground.
Yeah, it's basically like a pit that they like dig, and they fill it with like the stones, and they heat them up. They have the fire kind of underneath, and as you'll see in the photo, there's just that kind of trickle of smoke that's coming out. And what's cool is when they put the meat actually on the emu, they cover it with like banana leaves and things like that to kind of hold in that smoky flavor. And the result is delicious, pulled pork. And that's kind of what got us kind of thinking about it. But yeah, it dates all the way back to the Paleolithic era. They were smoking, meats, fish, all sorts of things like that.
Yep. It just makes it taste better too.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's I think one of the biggest things in just looking it up that they talked about was that it changes the flavor. And so the Maillard reaction it's a French term. It's the chemical reaction between amino acids and reducing the sugars that will give that brown, distinct kind of flavor with food. So for seared steaks, think fried dumplings, cookies, biscuits, things that kind of brown when you heat them up and you cook them. It's that caramelization that kind of happens.
In layman terms, it's the GBD, golden brown delicious.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it happens, many other foods undergo the same reaction, but that's the one that, people are kind of thinking of when you think of that crust, the caramelization, that delicious, beefy or meaty flavor. It's because of that Maillard reaction.
And I know when you're looking at a lot of like barbecue and that kind of stuff, people always look for that sort of like that crust that's on the top, because you like that little bit of like crispiness or crunchy that kind of like starts at the top, and then as you go through, it gets more like moist and, you know, soft, and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It has a term. It's called the bark.
The
Yeah,
bark. That's what it is. Yes.
I was thinking, I think we talked about it before too, like the burnt ends, but that's not the same thing as the bark. The burnt ends is just like the end of the brisket that has a lot of the bark.
Yep. Cubed up and extra
Oh my
smoke.
goodness.
Basically straight bark.
Yeah.
So good.
Right.
Delicious. Yeah. So, I mean, it just talked a lot about that. And then the dramatic effect of the overall flavor comes from when the collagen in the meat is actually breaking down. So that's where that Maillard reaction takes place. And when you smoke meat for a long period of time, basically the collagen is the tough muscle tissue protein in the meat. And when you break it down, it's what makes it more tender. So that's why when you slow cook meats, you tend to get that fall apart, fall off the bone kind of, you know, texture and flavor.
The key to that is letting it rest and letting all that broken down collagen firm back up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I guess they kind of were just comparing in the article that I was getting a lot of this information from, smoking versus grilling, because obviously, you know, you're cooking it either way, but just the differences in how the meat turned out. And a lot of it was based on how tender it ends up being. Not that you can't get tender meat on the grill, because I'm sure there is a way to do it, but typically with the smoking, you get fall off the bone meat.
I think it's part of that process, right? Like you said, like low and slow, as opposed to like a grill, you're getting it to a certain temperature. So you're going to get those really good marks and it's going to look really good. But I don't know about like, you know, low and slow, I think it's going to really tenderize the meat. Not that, you know, with Heartland products, you even need to tenderize it, because it's already, I mean, a filet you can cut with a spoon.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't really need to tenderize it that much. But in terms of smoking, I mean, adding that flavor and just that, like you said, fall off the bone.
Yeah.
It's nothing better.
A couple unique characteristics that they were talking about too. They mentioned the bark, and then they mentioned like the smoke ring, which is like that sort of pink part that you get underneath of the bark or the crust of the meat. So basically, it's created as the nitrogen dioxide in the smoke will actually prevent a substance called myoglobin, which we've spoke about before. That's what's going to make the meat turn brown. So I guess the smoking kind of prevents that reaction from happening, and that's why you get that pink smoke ring. Fun fact too, we're reading is that I guess it's something you can actually like fake in barbecue. Like they'll use like dyes or these other techniques. I should have looked up more about it, but yeah, they were talking about how you can actually fake that.
So beware when you go to these
normally
restaurants.
It's a telltale sign, but I don't know.
Bacon smoke rings.
Yeah.
What does the world come to?
Right? We were like, why would you fake that? I mean,
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Also, too, they said like what's unique is that a lot of people think that smoking adds a unique like flavor and taste to the meat, but a lot of it actually comes from like the smell of the smoke, because half of like, you know, eating and tasting is like the smell just as much as it is the actual taste from the taste buds.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of unique, is that you're smelling it just as much as you're tasting it.
Absolutely.
And for most people, it's a very pleasant smell.
Yeah. Especially now when you're coming up to the fall, that kind of like burnt wood, kind of just like candle kind of fire smell, I think is just like it's in, right?
Like a campfire?
Yeah, like a campfire. Exactly. That's exactly what was in my mind.
Yeah.
That kind of smell is just, it's in now. Like you enjoy those smells. You'll start to smell people like lighting their fires and that kind of thing as you come into fall and it starts to get colder, that kind of thing. And I think it's just like, as far as like smoking meats and that kind of stuff, it's
perfect
like
time.
Perfect timing.
Definitely.
My favorite time to smoke meat is during a snowstorm. Like you're stuck at home anyways.
Right.
You're going to be there for hours.
And just
you might as well
hang out and smoke some meats.
It's going to be warm.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
You're creating that little bit of heat that's right there next to the smoker. It's not a bad place to rest, right? Where you're going to be right next to it. It's like nice and warm.
Definitely. Yeah, and the other thing too that I thought was interesting, an interesting fact was like on the grill when you're cooking, obviously you cook the one side, right? And then you flip it and you cook the other side. But when using the smoker, no need to flip. You don't have to flip anything. They said that you could if that's your preference, but you don't have to, because it's going to get the equal, I guess, like
It's cooking equally from all sides.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was interesting, because I guess I never thought of it until, you know, kind of deep diving into it. But I guess that makes it kind of convenient, especially if, you know, you have to be monitoring it. And with an electric smoker, you can kind of just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we've gone over it. I mean, Justin, if you want to give your, like, I think on this podcast, you've actually talked about, you know, how your recipe and that kind of thing and using the electric smoker. But I don't know if we want to go over it again and just kind of like highlight, the convenience of using an electric smoker.
Yeah, it's all the different. We're going to get into all the different types of smokers, but if you've never done it before, an electric smoker is where you want to start.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a crock pot. You literally set it and forget it. It self-regulates the temperature. It's really not much to it. So you don't have to be a pro to get really nice smoked meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were watching the master class, and they have Aaron Franklin, who's down in Austin, Texas, and some of the best barbecue out there, right? And not that I judge, because I love all barbecue either way. Like, I'd love to eat it. Like, if you put it in front of me, I'm going to eat it. But he talked about like the intricacies of how they actually smoke, and we can start to get into the different types of smokers as well. But I think he uses one of the tank.
He uses like the barrel, the big
barrel
ones where they're doing like, because they talked about too, like for large operations, you're using like big blocks of wood, right? Versus then there's chips, then there's pellets, then there's like the shave. There's so many different ones that you can use. So I think he's using like the big logs basically, and he's using a big, large barrel smoker. But that's as far as I know.
Yeah.
So David Anderson just asked, flavor smoking chips, which ones do you like the best? He said he likes cherry wood. I love cherry wood as well.
Right.
Especially with beef.
Oh, yeah.
I think cherry is the best for beef, personal opinion.
Yeah.
Cherry. So it says cherry has a mild and fruity flavor, and mixed with other hardwoods like hickory, the two flavors will complement each other for an amazing result.
Ooh, I've never comboed.
Cherry and hickory. Oh, see, that's another.
Blend them together.
Right.
Chicken, fowl, wild fowl, and pork. That's what it says, but I'm sure it's good for all.
Well, I mean, I guess it's time that are there any other different types? So cherry, hickory.
Yeah, there's apple,
Applewood, yeah.
alderwood, cherrywood, pecan wood.
Pecan. I think that's what they use in Texas.
There's guava.
Either pecan or mesquite. I think it's one of those two.
Yeah.
Mesquite is very popular. Maple, and then of course the hickory. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can go with it. Guava wood. I know like in Hawaii they use kiave wood. There's so many different kinds that I'm sure you could use in it. I know they all have like kind of their own different distinct flavor profiles.
Which is pretty cool because you think about different regions, different woods, different trees are growing because of different climates and that kind of thing. So they all have their own
and then
kind of flavor.
If you know anything about barbecue, if you like barbecue, each like region, each area has their own kind of little twist on like the barbecue sauce or like how they prepare or cook or how they smoke it and what cuts, like ribs, St. Louis. So there's different things that I think of when I think of barbecue, and I think they have their own little kind of twist to it.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like the Carolina barbecues are very vinegary.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love their barbecue sauce. It's so good.
Somebody told me you can't put pickles on their pulled pork sandwiches or something like that.
Oh, you just got to eat it how it is.
Yeah.
No sauce.
Right.
Some people are very strict too with their barbecue though. It does not need sauce. No, thank you.
Like I said, however it comes, I'll enjoy it.
What about wrapping? Do you wrap when you do like smoking? Like, have you ever done ribs and wrap them or anything like that?
Depends what you're doing.
Okay.
Briskets, you have to.
Okay.
I mean, there's when it hits the stall, right around I think it's 150-ish. Basically, I guess that's where the fat's starting to like break down. It's having a hard time getting over the hump.
Okay.
Right.
So if you're smoking at 225, that's like the standard for a brisket.
Right.
You pull it off when it hits the stall, wrap it in tin foil. And by the way, every like 30 minutes, if not less, spritzing it with some type of liquid to keep it super, super moist in there.
Right.
And then when you wrap it, throw the temperature gauge back in it, and then let it go the rest of the way, all the way up to 200 to 210.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
it does require a little labor of love, though.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the convenience, but it does require a little bit, of tender love and care, kind of having to do that spritz. And you can use, like you said, apple cider vinegar or any kind of liquid, really, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did. For a while, I was using applewood.
Applewood. Okay.
So do applewood for the brisket, and then an apple cider vinegar, apple juice spritzer.
Yeah.
Nice, but I've been really liking the cherry wood lately.
Yeah.
On the beef, yeah.
All right,
pork shoulders. I mean that's the easiest thing to do. That's that. If you're gonna start with smoking, you don't have to do any wrapping, nothing. I mean, put your rub on it. You can go real simple, salt, pepper, whatever, or you can get fancy rub, throw it in the smoker, 225, till you get the internal temp at 190, and then you pull it off. Let it rest for at least an hour.
That's all there is to it.
That's the hardest part.
The resting.
That's it.
The hardest part is waiting once you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, a good brisket, you want to rest it for like 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Wrap it in towels, throw it in a cooler, and just close it. And 2 hours later, when you pop the top of the cooler, like steam will fly out. It'll be still nice and hot and just perfect.
That would be hard.
You
You
gotta
just
let it
think about
rest.
like letting it
It's
rest
ready to
there.
go.
You can smell it. It's like just the aromas everywhere, and then you're just like, I can't eat it yet.
Yeah.
And you're just counting down the time. You're soon enough.
Yeah.
That's why, like with an electric smoker, you can start the smoke the night before.
Yeah.
And just let it go while you're sleeping.
Right.
I think that's set an alarm when you hit the stall, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you wrap it. It says wrap the meat in foil will basically eliminate the amount of smoke that's on the surface of the meat, so it'll yield a better color and a better flavor for the final product. Depends on which product you're cooking, of course, but it'll add moisture and speed up the cooking time, and that it should be done about halfway through the cooking process or where the internal meat temperature is between 150 and 160 degrees.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome. But yeah, so we can get a little bit more into the different kind of smokers, but like, what is a smoker? So specialized meat smokers are metal chambers heated with either gas, charcoal, or wood chips to produce a low and consistent heat from about 200 to 250 and a lot of smoke. So if you choose wood, each type of wood will produce a different flavor, and there's plenty of different options. We mentioned a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then gas and charcoal grills can be modified to smoke meats, but it's easier for a novice to start off with using something that's specifically meant for smoking, and the electric smoker is typically the easiest.
Right.
So yeah, a couple things to think about. What kind of chips you're going to use, what kind of chunks you're going to use, in the smoker, what kind of flavor profiles, what kind of products you want to smoke, and then what kind of smoker are you looking for?
That's the one thing for me as well is like, you always talk about pork shoulders you can smoke, and then briskets. Like those are probably the two main popular ones. But then even, again, going to Hawaii, they were smoking tuna, turkey. Like there were so many different things that they were just throwing in the smoker. So you were like...
Turkey breast?
Yeah.
I've done some turkey breasts.
Mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal in the smoker.
Right.
Wow.
There's,
Even steaks. Like I've started steaks, like cold smoking them for a little bit just to kind of get the smoke flavor on the steak and then pull them out and sear them. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you prefer that to the grilled steak or what is it?
Well, I guess that's both because it's coming
Off
out of the
one.
smoker and then
And
it's
onto
just if you want that added smoke flavor.
Yeah.
Which it just, I mean, if you like smoked food,
Yeah.
it's just never going to hurt the situation.
Yeah.
I love that kind of like peaty kind of smoky flavor anyway,
Yeah.
like old fashions or any kind of like cocktail like that they have that kind of like smoke in it.
Well,
so
that's
like
new
barbecue.
too. That's popular too. Is have you seen that when they do like a smoked cocktail?
Oh yeah,
they'll
and it
coat
comes in
with
the box.
Yeah.
You open it and the smoke comes
mhm.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm that guy that'll
'Cause
order that.
those
Everyone's like, "What are
flavor
you?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me get that one."
Yeah. I got some videos.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's just interesting, the flavors, and I like it too.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's a
Acquired.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was looking. It's an acquired taste because I think at first like I was like, oh, like what is? And then after you kind of go on, you start to like recognize, oh yeah, like you can start to taste, like you said, the cherry and the applewood and those kind of things, and you can kind of start to notice the differences, and it's intriguing because at first you're like, why would you even like this kind of flavor? But then you think back, like you mentioned, Paleolithic era, like way back then they were doing this, and it's just kind of like, I guess like bred into different cultures and different things like that, and that flavors now is just like one that I can't get enough of. I really enjoy it.
I feel like it's kind of like cilantro.
Yeah,
Like I know a lot of people.
either
Love it or you hate it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're like, oh, smoked sausage, disgusting. I don't want any of that. I'm like, what?
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like cilantro. I love it, but certain people, I guess it tastes like soap.
Yep.
They repel it or whatever. They're not feeling it.
Yeah. I love them both. You can put some cilantro on the
your
smoked meat.
smoked
Yeah.
meat. There you go.
Smoked cilantro. Let's try that out.
We got something new. All right, so maybe we could talk a little bit now about like the different types of smokers.
Yeah.
So you'll see in the photo there's vertical water smoker, and I don't know anything about them, but I heard a couple things about water smokers. I don't know if you guys are familiar. An offset smoker, which I think are the most familiar in terms of like what you normally see with the big like black barrel and the smoke box that's kind of off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
They have a box smoker, drum smoker, a smoker oven, a Komodo grill, which I think is like the green eggs kind of, and they also
Komodo
have
Joe's.
just straight pellet grills as well.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different things, and I know that like even on a traditional with the coal, the grills with the coals.
Charcoal.
Charcoal.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of it. The charcoal grills, like you can do smoking if you put build the coals up on one side, and you got to monitor the temperature terribly and be
Right.
like super into it. But I know it is possible. But just for the sense of what's easiest, these are probably some of the most easier and most popular options.
And I think with what you're saying, like you're trying to use a grill to do that smoking aspect.
Yeah.
When you could just get a smoker, you know what I mean, and have both. You could have a grill and a smoker, or some of them. I know that we even carry some that are like grill smoker
It'll do
combos.
all
Like
of
it
them.
does
Yeah.
all of it, like
Yep.
the searing, the entire thing.
Yep.
I saw one of them going out the other day, and I was like, "Oh my, this thing's awesome."
The
Is
Pit
that
Boss.
the 4-in-1?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
so
a pretty
nice.
cool product.
Oh my
I mean, that
gosh.
thing does charcoal, gas, smoker, and infrared sear all in the same product.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
There's nothing else. Like you're good.
You're like, whole neighborhood, I got you.
Yeah.
Come over.
And what do you prefer? Oh, I like gas. I have that. Oh, I like charcoal. I like what I have. It. This
Yeah,
does
you got
it
everything.
all.
Yeah. I prefer sear on my. Absolutely. Coming right up.
Okay, and there's way more woods than we had just mentioned. So alderwood, I think we said that. Apple and cherry wood, hickory, maple, mesquite, mulberry. Never heard of it. Oak, which I think we left that one out.
Yeah.
Peach wood, pear wood, pecan wood, and walnut.
Yeah.
And I could see how those would have an interesting kind of flavor profile to them.
Yeah.
Typically, they're all good for poultry and pork. If you're gonna do seafood, they recommend like alderwood, applewood, cherry wood, or an oak. Lamb is about the same thing: apple, cherry, or oak. And then beef is pretty much good with all of them. I think cherry and hickory, mesquite, oak, pecan, walnut, and alderwood. And vegetables, they said maple is the best wood to smoke vegetables.
Maple.
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe because you get that kind of, that maple flavor. I don't know. Would you ever put maple syrup on your vegetables?
I don't know. I don't know
I
that the
mean,
maple really has like a maple
sure.
syrup flavor, but why not?
But he does. I mean, that the aroma of maple does have that kind of like maple syrup kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I just smell it.
I would think
enjoy
it
it.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking maybe you douse your broccoli in a little,
A little maple
a
syrup.
little organic maple syrup.
I don't know about that. But yeah, definitely. I mean, Justin, you said your favorite now is cherry.
Yeah, I'm definitely on a cherry wood kick.
Okay.
The term hardwood, like you see that a lot. Like our Leidy's bacon is hardwood smoked.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking like, because that's not on the list, right?
Mm.
So are some of these woods like hardwoods, and that's actually not a type of wood?
Oh. Like
That's
some
what
of them
I'm
are
looking at.
softer and some of them are hard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So when they
maybe
say
there's a
hardwood,
scale.
like, is that an oak? Is it a
Right.
or is a hardwood an actual type of wood?
Interesting.
You might
now
have to
I'm
go-
second guessing. I always thought that was a type of wood.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because like the Cheshire bacons, we've got the dry cured hickory,
Mm-hmm.
the applewood,
Yep.
and then the hardwood.
Hardwood. Interesting. So maybe
Yeah.
it could be a combination of a few different kinds, or maybe, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so I went to Professor Google's for this. It says, generally speaking, any wood that is hard and free of resin or sap is good for making smoke. So I think most of the woods that, like
We're
the cherry
talking
wood,
about?
are hardwoods
Okay.
because they're not making any sap, right? So they're probably like dried out.
So maple, I guess, wouldn't be considered a hardwood then, right? Because maple has sap.
Yeah.
So I think it's what you were saying. Some of them are
Oh,
categorized as
that-
a hardwood and some are not.
That's probably why it's only for vegetables. Right?
Oh,
'Cause
because
the
it's
only-
not hardwood.
Yeah. Or it says vegetables and poultry. So
Interesting.
maybe that's part of the reason. I don't know.
I mean, I can't imagine, one of these woods not tasting good on any meat, but
Yeah, I know.
That's true.
like it said, don't use like applewood was not for pork.
Yeah.
Like that's what I usually do with my pork shoulders.
And
with.
you're like, I love it.
All right.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
guess I'm
good.
gonna switch it up now.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, David, he said that he smoked Heartland pork tenderloins on Sunday and smoked potatoes at the same time for smoked potato salad.
A smoked
Yummy.
potato salad. That
Yes.
sounds amazing, David.
He also just said, can we get that chart on the Heartland page?
Oh yeah,
the smoked
sure.
Yes. We'll do some smoker posts.
Right.
Yes, I will post the hardwood smoking chart and then which woods you should use for which types of proteins. I'll post them both up there for you.
Perfect.
Love it.
But I think it's like Justin said, you can use that as a reference, but try different things. You may enjoy it. It's like when when you're going out to a restaurant, like somebody will be like, oh, I want to pair this wine with that food. But if you don't enjoy that wine anyway, why would you get it? Why wouldn't you just get something that you like, that you enjoy with, whatever you're eating or whatnot. So same thing with the wood, Like if it says, oh, don't pair this wood with doing that, do it anyway and see if you like it. And if you like it, you might get something.
I think they're all just fine guidelines. That's the thing with
Yeah.
cooking is that you have the freedom to kind of do with it what you'd like, and
And everybody's palate's
you
the
can have
same.
some risk. Take some risk.
Right.
I know the
Try something
pellet
new.
grills,
Mhm.
the pellet smokers, getting a lot of attention. People are really into the Traegers.
Yeah.
That's
Seen
big
that.
right now. I don't have one. I've never used one, but
Yeah.
apparently the flavor's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Komodo Joes and the green eggs, I will say, I've had a lot of experience on those. Generates ridiculous flavor.
Wow.
So it's, you got to monitor the temperature. And it's more labor intensive, but coming out of the electric smoker, it's super easy, but it doesn't generate
The same.
quite as much smoke and flavor.
Okay.
So you think that they create more smoke just in general, or that they're just better at getting the smoky flavor in whatever method they're using to generate the smoke?
Probably both.
Both?
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely getting a lot more smoke generated,
Okay.
but it's very difficult to keep a solid, even temp.
Right.
And that's, if you...
That's important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're smoking something for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours, like you don't have really a lot of margin for error.
Right.
Like, you can screw up a piece of meat really easily, especially a brisket.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just, something to consider.
think about.
Yeah.
Am I going for flavor and being an expert and possibly screwing up some meat sometimes, or?
Right. And I think it's like, baby steps. Maybe you start with an electric smoker, you start to get your feet wet with it, and then as you start to go on and you say, hey, I kind of love
You
doing
graduate.
this. Yeah, you
Right.
graduate to, doing that.
Yeah, might be time for me to try out one of these pellet.
Pellet smokers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if anyone's using a Traeger or something similar, whatever smokers you're using, drop them in the comments. Tell us about it.
Yeah,
Love to hear firsthand experience.
Absolutely.
for sure.
And there are some posts I see, and we should have probably had the custom cut man, Zach himself, on here too, because I know he does some smoking. But there's a couple posts like throughout the Heartland Foodies page where you can see that people are using these, different kinds of smokers and different recipes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Remember, and I think it was like last year or the year before, we went out and we saw Damon, and he was using his pellet smoker as well, and he had it out there. It was one of the can ones. What did you say the name was?
The barrel?
The barrel.
Yeah.
He had one of the barrel ones out there, and he was doing a pork shoulder, and it was like, delicious. It just looked wonderful. I mean, you could see like you said, the bark, and then he pulled it out, and it's like he puts it on like a cutting board, and the entire thing, the slab is just like shaking, and you can just see like the juices and stuff. I'm like,
Tender.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was really good. Shout out,
Mouth-watering.
Damien.
Yeah.
It's good when you just can take your hands and just like crush it and pull it apart.
Or when you have those like claws. Have you seen those like
Oh,
claws?
I have a pair of bear claws.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
I've always wanted to do that. That looks like
And you literally, they're just pulling. You're like, oh, it's so tender.
Yeah, but shout out again to all the awesome Heartland Foodies posts. Again, if you are one of those people who is cooking barbecue on a regular basis or smoking meat or grilling, what have you, we would love to have you for the barbecue brawl. So definitely make sure to sign up for that for a chance to become a contestant on our Welcome Heartland Celebration on September 12th. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, we're throwing a party. All right, it's a free party.
Please
yes.
come, enjoy. There will be food. There will be fun, games, things for the kids. So invite friends, family, the whole community. Frederick, you guys are welcome. So
Yeah, and if anybody can beat me one-on-one in cornhole, I'll give you a free gift pack of Heartland products.
there you go. Drop the bomb for that.
That's what I'm saying.
And you can try as many times as you like.
You heard it here, folks.
Have you seen? They actually have. I've seen them on ESPN now.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cornhole?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm not bad. I'm pretty good. And then I saw these guys, and it's literally every single one.
I
is
saw
just
them not
splash,
miss.
Splash,
Like,
splash.
I was like, is this real?
Yeah.
They can do like hook shots around bags, bounce back. Like, it's insane. It's insane.
Wow.
Well, you heard it here.
Intense.
Come test Justin on the cornhole.
Yes.
See if you can hang. And Justin might have to go on ESPN and show his stuff against us. They have like whole teams.
Yep.
There's like teams of just like 4 or 5 people that are all doing this, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a real competition.
Put me to
Pro
shame.
cornhole is crazy. I did see a special where they had a tournament for all the armed forces.
Yeah.
So it was like Marines versus
Oh, wow.
Border Patrol, and then so that was like they're really good, but not quite pros. So
Right.
I kind of felt like I could compete.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're like, I'm taking that challenge. I got that one.
Yeah.
All right, if you're any good at cornhole, yes, we will challenge you to a meeting with Justin.
Yeah.
You got to
Or-
work your way up. You have to go through me first, and then if you beat me, then you can go. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, if you come with a team, if you bring a partner, I'll bring my ringer partner, and
There you
then
go.
we'll up the stakes
Oh.
because no one's gonna beat me with my partner.
All right.
Shout out Brandon Ward.
It's a battle. Sounds like a battle. All right, y'all. If you have any questions, make sure to send us a message on the Heartland Connect page, or you can send us an email at marketing@heartlandfoods.com. David will get those images posted up there in the foodie group for you. And with that, Justin, I think you can go ahead and send us off.
Awesome. It's good to be back.
Definitely.
Good to have you all back.
Thanks.
And next week we'll do it again, 12 p.m. on Thursday. And
Yep.
as always, stay healthy with Heartland.